The Jeremy Kyle Show, at once one of the most popular series in the UK, averaging 1 million viewers at the time, and can often be described as UK's guilty pleasure, where a man, Jeremy, tries to solve issues in people's relationships and even family disputes and various other problems. It had a long run. It started off in July 2005, but all come to a halt on the 10th of May 2009, where it was cancelled permanently. We're going to get into the collapse of the Jeremy Kyle Show. A quick intro to explain the Jeremy Kyle Show. It was a British tabloid talk show which was presented by Jeremy Kyle and produced by ITV Studios. It premiered on the ITV network on the 4th of July 2005 and ran for 17 series until its cancellation on the 10th of May 2019. During its broadcast, it was the most popular programme in ITV's daytime schedule, regularly broadcast on weekdays mornings and reaching an audience of 1 million viewers. The programme served as a replacement for Trisha Goddard's chat show following its move to Channel 5 in 2004. Guests are often confronted on the show by Jeremy and are asked whether they're lying about something or telling the truth, and then after they do a lie detector test against the person on the show who is being accused of something. Another common part of the show is women that have slept with multiple men will go on there to find out who their baby father is amongst many men. And the same sort of thing, kids will go on there to find out who their real father is or who their real mother is. Many clips would actually go viral on YouTube. One time, Jeremy read someone the results, threw the envelope at him, and the man threw it straight back at Jeremy's head.
What?
What'd you throw that one away for?
It's an envelope.
You have to look at me like that, man.
What do you mean, why did I throw it away? What do you want me to do?
I don't know.
Do you want the envelope? Give me the envelope.
envelope.
Give me the envelope. You might have heard of cuts on ITV, but you can have the damn envelope if you want it. There you are.
Thank you very
You
much.
could be as good a father as you are envelope collector. The world would be a...
The main criticism of the show over the years is the people on it don't have a lot of money, so they're forced to go on the show to afford lie detectors and certain things they want to help with, even a team tracking down possible parents, so they use it for that reason, but then they're exposed to millions of people on television and oftentimes even embarrassed by the host Jeremy Kyle.
Sure you aren't. Really, and what does it say about a society that allows people like you to behave the way you do? I hope to God it isn't your baby, because she's damn right. You, a father, can you spell father, by the way?
F-A-R-T-H-E-R. Can you spell...
Moments like this were classic and were trending around YouTube, and a lot of people was laughed along, but it was only so long before someone being humiliated in front of millions of people was going to take it to heart and something bad was going to happen. The Wayne Davidson appeared on the Jeremy Kyle Show and said it ruined his life. People were posting up clips of his episode on YouTube and describing him as a bug. The Wayne Davidson, who was dubbed the ITV show's most hated guest, said Kyle is a lowlife and a bully, and he was the centre of all this hatred, and he revealed it. The 28-year-old added, he's worse than any of these people. He's accused of being villains. He deserves to be prosecuted. The man has incited so much hatred, it is despicable.
How many times have you sort of appeared on the show?
Well, I mean, I feel like we've got a limited time here, so I didn't want to like put everything across. I've been on twice, but there's a very complicated story. So I told you first, the charismatic person on the phone, that was the first time I went on the show. Then, like I said, the second time I went on the show, right, I was basically phoned up by them, and they said to me, Dwayne, come on the show. And I was like, I'm never going on your show ever again after what you did to me last time. But then, like I said, these charismatic people that they employ, is saying to me on the phone, he's saying, oh, Dwayne, right, you can come on the show this time and you can redeem yourself. Like, yeah, you was the most hated person last time. Come on this time, Dwayne. We'll tell Jeremy, we'll sort something out, and you'll be the most liked person. There will never be a person who's ever been on that show who's been more liked than you this time if you come on. Like, they're so manipulative. And bear in mind, I'm only 22 at the time, so I'm definitely a man, but I'm still like not fully developed in like thinking about my future and stuff like that. So yeah, I went on twice, and but I mean, the second time I planned it out. I thought to myself, I'm not going to say one word bad. I'm not going to say one, because they edit things. They're crazy at editing. They're magical what they do. So I thought to myself, second time I went on, I'm not going to say one bad word. I'm literally going to answer the questions back. I'm not going to rise to him when he's calling me names. I'm going to come on and I'm going to, redeem myself. Bearing in mind, by this time I've tried to go to solicitors, I've tried to go to the newspapers, I've tried to phone them directly. I've tried everything I can to try and like make the public not think I'm such a horrible person. So then I thought, well, maybe this is the only option I've got. Go back on the show people, look, he's not a bad guy.
The second time didn't go too well for him either, and in later interviews after his court case, he described being suicidal due to the show. Jeremy Kyle's defense obviously is that he's not forcing them to go on the show, but it come out that his team was manipulating people to get them on there and giving them false promises on what was going to happen. 2005 to 2019, it seemed like the Jeremy Kyle show was unstoppable. Even had a USA version, was getting more and more popular. The English-based program had 17 series and 3,320 episodes that have been aired. Their YouTube channel was growing and picking up lots of hits as well. Then it all come to a stop on the 10th of May 2019. Let's get into exactly why the Jeremy Kyle show was cancelled permanently. Jeremy Kyle may have caused or contributed to guest Steve's death is what hit the headlines on BBC News. The body of Steve, 63, was discovered at his home on the 9th of May and the days after he took the lie detector program on the show. The show was axed shortly afterwards on the 10th of May. He died of a morphine overdose, and 7 days earlier he took a lie detector test on a program to find out whether he had cheated on his ex-fiancée Jane, who was from Gosball. After the result was announced, during filming, the audience booed and jeered at him as he was called a failure by the presenter, Mrs. Gallagher said. She said Mr. Kyle was in his face, and even when he was at the point of collapsing, he was still being heckled. It said the controversial TV host told Steve, the man who took his life, that he would not trust him with a chocolate button, and he added, "Has anyone got a shovel?" said Hampshire coroner Jason Peck, who has seen the full tape of the untransmitted program featuring the man who took his life, whose name was Steve. Miss Gallagher said his state of mind was known by the crew on the show as well, with a message sent on a WhatsApp group stating, "Just so you know, he's still crying. He just said he wishes he was dead, just giving you a heads up." It also come out he was receiving mental health care from the NHS Foundation Trust. This was the end of the Jeremy Kyle show because it'd never be the same again. Part of Jeremy's thing was to belittle and talk down on guests that done certain things, and how could he ever do that now, knowing they could go home and possibly take their life? So on the 10th of May, the show was cancelled, and Natasha, 31, tragically died just 9 months after the program was axed, following the suicide of guest Steve, as she had lost her job and become redundant, it said on the news. Police were called and attempts were made to save her life, but she died at the scene. A statement from Mr. Kyle said, "I scarcely believed the tragic news. Tash was such a talented producer and extremely important part of the team. Of course, my first thoughts are for her family and friends. My heart goes out to them. It is impossibly sad and difficult time." Natasha had worked on the Jeremy Kyle show, booking guests and helping with the running of the show for 8 years. The young woman was made redundant along with others on the show in the wake of the row over the suicide of Steve, who died of a drug overdose after failing a love cheat lie detector test on the show last year previous to this event. Now we're going to go over some of the highlights of the 3-hour court case which was uploaded to YouTube.
Tom McClellan, you're executive producer of the programme. How long has the polygraph test, lie detector test, how long has that been a feature of the Jeremy Kyle show?
So the show has been on air for nearly 14 years. We've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and the lie detector has been a part of talk shows in Britain probably for over 20 years and on talk shows all around the world, but since the beginning of Jeremy Kyle.
Since the beginning of the show?
Yes.
How accurate do you think the polygraph test is?
So we've always made it very, very clear to the viewers and to the participants of the show that the lie detector is not 100% accurate.
There have been several reviews of polygraph accuracy. They suggest that polygraphs are accurate between 80 and 90% of the time. This means polygraphs are far from foolproof, but better than average person's ability to spot lies, which research suggests they can do around 55% of the time. Other reports do suggest different to this, but obviously even a 1 in 10 chance at some point across 3,000 episodes, someone will be lying about something and may seem innocent and vice versa.
practitioners claim it to have a high level of accuracy, although this is disputed. So we always wanted to be extremely clear, not only with the people on the show, but also the viewers.
Yeah, so you're quite right. In the contracts, the participants of the show sign, it says it's not guaranteed to be 100% accurate, and the company that does the test says that on its website too. But how accurate do you think those tests are? I understand you think they're not 99% accurate, but what level of accuracy do you believe those tests have?
We know they aren't 100%, and so that's why we've always been incredibly clear with the people coming on the show before they were filmed and before they took the test and to the viewers.
So I'm sure you're aware that the Dispatches did a programme about Jeremy Carl's show. In that, Professor Ray Bull of Derby University said he believed even in sort of perfect conditions with a trained expert using the machine, that the test was at best a 66 to 70% chance of an accurate score.
I gotta admit, it's quite worrying. A show that's based their whole concept on lie detector tests, mainly is the main attraction of the show, don't even know how accurate them tests are. But worst of all, Jeremy Carl, when people would say they said they're not lying and the test come back that they was lying, he would say that they're wrong and the test is right and back it all the way, even though it wasn't 100% accurate.
I think if you ask different experts, you'd get different opinions. So that's why we were always very clear to make sure that everybody was aware that it wasn't 100%, and that's why we came up with that disclaimer.
Yeah, but the disclaimer doesn't really mean very much, does it? Because not 100% might mean nearly 100%, but there might be some minor discrepancy. Professor Bull's estimate is that 2 times out of 3 the test is accurate, but 1 times out of 3 it's wrong. And that's quite a big difference, isn't it?
Well, like I say, if you ask different people and different, I've worked in other countries on lie detectors, and if you ask different people, get different opinions. So we felt it was incredibly important, and I can't stress this enough, to make sure that every single person who had a lie detector was fully informed that it was not 100% accurate.
Yeah, but not 100% and maybe only 2/3 right is a massive difference. It's a massive difference in the way that's perceived. And as you'll have seen, and the reason we wanted to play the clip, Jeremy Carl's choosing his words carefully. He's not saying you're a liar, he's saying the test says you're a liar. But nevertheless, it's not the test says you might be a liar, or the test said you might not be right. It's being presented black and white, you lied.
Jeremy Carl was definitely trained by ITV to use the right lingo by saying the lie detector calls you a liar, not me, and certain stuff when lawsuits like this was going to come up in the future to save his own arse.
And that is causing obviously considerable distress to the people receiving the results.
I think we've got to remember that, the people that appeared on the show, were the viewers, and they used to, were a good proportion of the viewers, and they would watch the show on a daily basis. And when we were going through all our procedures, we would ask them, have you ever seen the show? And they would always come back and say that they had seen the show and they'd watch it on a regular basis. If they hadn't seen the show, that would be a huge flag for us. So they had watched the show, they had applied to be on the show, they had also wanted to take a lie detector, they had seen the show, obviously they knew of Jeremy's presenting style, they knew the accuracy because we'd made it very clear, so they were completely fully informed by the time that they were appearing on the show.
Have you ever, of the company that does the test, have you asked them what they believe the accuracy rate is?
Well, we've talked to them, over a long period of time, and they told us that it is not 100%,
Yes,
so that's why we've made it very clear.
So you're the executive producer, you're responsible for this programme.
Yeah.
So have you inquired as to how effective these tests are, what the percentage likely success rate is?
Yeah, which is not 100%.
Beyond that, have you said, okay, not 100%, so what is the actual percentage? Because I've got to be responsible for this programme.
Well, no, as I said to you, if you ask different examiners, you get different opinions.
So what's the range you've been told?
So because we would get different opinions, we felt it was incredibly important to make sure that everybody was informed that the test was not 100%.
Okay, what's the range? What's the range then? If you said we've had different opinions, so what's the range of opinion?
We could talk to 5 different examiners and get a range of opinions and send them on to you.
Have you got those figures?
I haven't got those figures.
Do you not know? Do you not know actually?
I know that it's an 100% show, and we made it very clear to everybody, including the viewers.
This is a pretty fundamental program. Do you not know what the range is? You don't have that information in your head.
I don't have the information in front of me now.
This is probably the most embarrassing moment just played from the Jeremy Kyle show team and everyone behind it to not know how accurate their tests are, just because Jeremy Kyle's presenting style and how much he got onto people. Certain people would leave the show who had failed a test and still say that they was innocent. And they well could have been, because the test was not 100%, but Jeremy Kyle would still say that they're a liar and just admit what they did. And if they're pressuring them, that could cause a lot of distress on people naturally.
I find that astonishing, actually, because this is, become one of the most criticised elements of the show, one of the most controversial, one of the things that causes the most amount of stress. It's presented as fact. It is disputed how good the technology is, but you don't know yourself what the range is in terms of the likeliness to get a true and accurate reading out of the test.
I think we knew it wasn't 100%. We put on screen to the viewers, we would tell the contributors that the lie detector is designed to indicate whether somebody is being deceptive. Practitioners claim it to have a high level of accuracy, although this is disputed.
Yeah, but you can't define what high level of accuracy is.
I am
other than not 100%, but 50% is not 100%.
I am not a lie detector expert, so what we would do is...
No, but you are responsible for this programme. You are the person who's responsible for this programme. This is a key feature in this programme. And I think if you were using that, and if you were being responsible, you would know the answer to that question.
Like I said, I'm not a lie detector expert, so we would hire in a lie detector expert. They would do the tests, they would come up with the results, and then the results would be given to the producers, which would then be given to Jeremy.
Imagine going on national television with millions of people watching and saying you're innocent about something. It comes back and you're a liar, and then someone's in your face calling you a liar and telling you just to admit it. I can see why this show got axed. The concept behind it is crazy when you don't understand the accuracy on the tests.
Look, don't worry. The test is probably only 2/3 of the time accurate, so chances are it might not be true. Do you say that to them?
We do, because we've actually mentioned it prior to the show. So we will reiterate that point, that we'll go back to the point that we raised before the show, which is that some people will fail this test, yet they will be telling the truth.
Yeah, but if they've also been told before the show it's not 100% accurate, but being led to believe it is highly accurate, the aftercare, if you've got someone who's distressed, or you've got a couple, maybe very distressed, maybe about to make a life-changing decision based on the results of this test,
yes.
Do you sit them down and say, look, actually the accuracy of this is greatly disputed, it might be 1/3 of the time it's not accurate at best, and therefore you shouldn't rely on this test. Do you sit people down and have those sorts of conversations, as specifically as that?
Again, I won't refer to specific numbers because I'm naive about the figures of accuracy.
But are you aware of figures, though, of accuracy?
I've always been aware that the lie detector was not 100% accurate.
I know that, but you said I'm aware of the figures, so you're aware of a range.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
So you're the director of Aftercare on this programme, and you don't have any figures for the percentage of accuracy of this test?
I would prefer to say to them that some people will fail this test, yet they will be telling the truth before they do the test, and then after the test I will raise that again.
But doesn't that mean it's meaningless, isn't it? I mean, it's a meaningless piece of information to give to people.
From my point of view, it's about keeping them informed.
But they're not. You're not, are you? Because you're not giving them information that could be relevant, would help them to put the test into context.
We're now going to play their last response to the accuracy of the test situation, then we'll move on to other parts of this court case.
Accuracy of a lie detector, and the fact that you accept that there is a significant amount of disagreement about the accuracy. That clip we just saw, the way that the results were presented to that participant, do you still consider that to be appropriate?
I think, obviously we did not pick that clip, but watching that clip now...
Well, you dispute that it exists, you don't it's broadcast, yes? You accept that?
We watched just watching the clip there, I think Jeremy, did have a strong opinion about the lie detector, so that's why we also felt it was so important to make it very clear that it wasn't 100% accurate, and that's why we put it on screen as he was giving the results.
And so what did you take from him implying that when he waved the card, and that this is the reason why you wouldn't go on the stage? What was he indicating there, do you think?
Well, I think, like I said, Jeremy's got a very strong view, so he obviously believed in the result there, and he was saying that to the contributor, so that's why we needed to make it very clear.
Now we're going to talk about the mental health nurses and the actual support and team behind the people got on this show. They got crazy problems and are dealing with overwhelming attention to go with it. So who's actually supporting them behind the scenes and even on the TV show?
What we saw, you said that there was 2 mental health nurses in shot. Now, I was under the opinion that mental health nurses were there to treat people with mental illness. Did these people, and were these people involved in need of mental health nurses?
No, sorry, a part of, I thought that was explained, it obviously wasn't very clear. Part of Graham's team, there are 2 special mental health nurses that are part of
It's a continuity of care. So the assessing team then goes through into the support team, and then the support team into the aftercare team.
Yes, but the 2 people you referred to in that clip, were they mental health nurses?
Yes, they were.
They were mental health nurses.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, Mr. Stanley, were the subjects in need of mental health nurses?
No, they were needing, in that particular case, they were in need of a very calm environment after that event.
So you look after people who apply to come onto the show?
Yes.
And then you look after them once they're on the show, and then you look after them when they've left the show?
Yes.
And so, first of all, is there not a conflict? Do you not see there could possibly be a conflict there in what you do?
They talk to them before the show, on the show and after the show, and they're in control of the whole story. A lot of people can be manipulated quite easily and controlled when they're talking to before and promise, like we said, other things, and they get on there and there's a whole nother setup. And also after the show, they were the people that mug them off on television. Are they even going to want proper support from these people?
Surely with that volume of people, with that amount of care required, I thought it would be standard practice for a medical professional to have a second opinion, or someone they have that second opinion.
We have four members of the team, and we work as a team, and we have supervision with each other within that team. We discuss things openly within that team, so we support each other. There's a team of 4, and we support each other. If I need any medical intervention, then I can contact the doctor. For instance, I might need a medical examination on someone that's going to rehab.
Across ITV Studios is not perfect. I'm sure we could always improve. We're constantly striving to improve our duty of care processes, and we continue to do that.
Okay. So, Mr. McLeod, why is there nobody on the team who has a professional qualification in psychology, and no one on the team who is registered with the Health and Care Professionals Council?
That's another thing about this show. Of course, they have an aftercare team, which is a good thing to support the people that go on there. But if they're not actually trained medical people, then what impact is that going to have, if any?
So you're saying you have done that. You have made recommendations to the production team that a particular story should not be broadcast.
Yeah.
And Mr. McLennan, do you know that you've acted on that advice?
100%. If I can say,
I know you're saying as a policy you would do, but I'm saying specifically.
Yes.
You believe you have not broadcast stories. Not
100%.
Because Mr. Stanley recommended
if Graham has said to me,
I know that's it, but I mean, did.
Yeah, no, I'm saying absolutely. Yeah. Graham has said to me a story should not be broadcast, and I have stopped it from being broadcast.
I do agree with this part massively in the court case, that certain stories should not be aired for television at all, when there could be huge repercussions on the mental health of certain contestants.
It was going to be updated.
So can I just ask you very briefly about the question on page 3, which is about education?
Yes.
What type of school was it? What level of education reached that? But at the end in the box, it's got for official use only, Google the school.
Yeah.
What are we looking for there? Targeting people from different types of schools.
No. If
from
something came up that it was
very welcome on your programme.
No, if it came up and it was a school of special needs, then obviously that would be a red flag and something we'd want to look into more. But that wouldn't be an exclusion; it would be something that we'd want to look into more.
Okay, and there's also a question on here about where you indicate to someone that they should check people's social media history. What are you looking for there?
So that is, again, to verify the story. It's very important to us as you know, the show was a tabloid show, and it was important for us to make sure that everybody who came on the show, you know, was telling us the truth. Very occasionally, people would try to come on the show and make up a story. So one good thing about social media is if we went back, you know, normally you could see if what they were telling us was the truth.
And are we looking for people with problems when we look on social media?
Well, they would have already called us with a problem, so the problem was pre-existing, and then we would go back and verify that.
Targeting was a concern over the Jeremy Kyle show. Also, because they was looking at people from certain schools, maybe more poverty-driven schools, they could target and be more vulnerable because the people were not educated enough to defend themselves, for one, and they was looking at their social media accounts, obviously to check what they're like also, and pick out vulnerable people who behave a certain way to be easy targets on the show for Jeremy to attack and assassinate their character, possibly. The Jeremy Kyle show also had a Facebook page, and they would run ads to target people that they would want to go on the show, and it was under scrutiny behind what they would put, because on Facebook obviously you can put in what types of people you're approaching, and their demographic would be quite wrong to approach.
You can't say that they get impartial legal advice on this contract, because actually this contract requires them to hand over all of their rights in perpetuity for a huge range of things: copyright, performers' rights, royalties, their name, photographs, representations, and the contract covers a period beyond the actual filming of the programme. And if they wanted to get out of the contract at any point, they have to pay a release fee to ITV, and that is decided upon by ITV. So you know, people are signing themselves up to very, very restrictive terms in this contract. So I'm quite surprised that it's not a requirement, that you're very clear that you do advise people to get impartial legal advice on it.
This is another good point put across in this court case, is that these people getting no legal advice, and in the future ITV control everything. If someone wants to go for a certain job interview and wants stuff cleared off television, or certain episodes not to resurface because they play episodes that were filmed ages ago again years later, I've seen, then it can't even be taken off the air, or nothing can be cancelled. To get out of that contract is a lengthy process, and they decide how much someone's got to pay for everything to be put away. Despite the bad press and the legal issues, there was actually a Bring Back Jeremy Kyle show campaign. They was trying to get to 15,000 signatures, and it did get to that number. The people behind this obviously make the point that Jeremy Kyle show tries to help people and provides a lot of help, but are not responsible for the mental well-being of people after going on the show. Channel 4 has confirmed a new series looking at the story behind the Jeremy Kyle show. Broadcasters say the series aims to tell the wider story of the Jeremy Kyle show, exploring the impact it had on British culture and the lives of those who appeared on it. Comment below what you guys' thoughts are on the Jeremy Kyle show and the impact it's had on people's lives, positive or negative. Let's get something going in the comments. I'll really appreciate if you guys leave a like on these longer videos. It helps a lot. I'll see you guys all in my next video. Peace out.